Welcome to Ole Walls House. It's me, it's your man, it's your made man, it's Ole Walls, and I'm back with you. Episode 176 coming your way. Just want to start off saying thank you to everybody. Appreciate all the support, appreciate all the watches, the listens. Thank you very much. You guys know the deal. If you could, please rate, review, comment, subscribe, and share. Let everybody know Ole Walls House is the place to be. So go find us on YouTube and Spotify. Like and subscribe there. That would really, really go a long way for us. So just thank you so much. Thank you, Producer Kevy, for getting us started on the video. Don't forget to check out my guy MJ over at the Full Range Podcast on Spotify. You can also find him on the Ole Walls House YouTube channel. Fun show coming. We're breaking down the PGA. We got Bucky, Slano, and Wiater back again. So without any further ado, let's just dive in. Okay, the boys are back. We have Mr. Bucky Appley, Mr. Matt Wiater, and Mr. Jeff Slanovic. I'm going to give Jeff the floor here, similar to last time I had these guys on when I gave Mr. Appley the floor for his guy Rory McIlroy winning. Jeff texted us multiple times over the weekend to just make sure that everybody knew that he stated early this week before play had started that it was a Scotty Scheffler week. So, Jeff, the floor is yours to kick off the discussion.
Great to be with you again, Jordan. Especially great to be with you after being correct this past week. I enjoyed riding Eric's coattails and joining him with Rory a couple weeks ago. Disappointed he did not choose to follow along with Scotty this week, but it was always Scotty week, and it was definitely Scotty week.
All right. Matthew, you're right above Jeff on my thing. We're going to do a little circle around the horn here. Matt, just quick thoughts here before we dive in. What did you think of the Scotty's performance and anything else from the PGA that we should, jot down to talk about here as we keep going?
Good seeing you fellas. My thought was that it was a roller coaster leaderboard. Like, there was a stretch when we were like, this may be not that fun of a weekend to watch. And it just kept, grabbing our attention again as, guys started to kind of show their face on the leaderboard. And it just kept roller coastering up and down, it felt, the entire weekend, of interesting to not so interesting.
I had those thoughts. I like where your head's at there, Matthew. Mr. Appley, what do you got for us tonight?
Kind of a snooze fest, wasn't it? I mean, there was a brief moment where we thought maybe Jon Rahm was going to take Scotty to the wire, and then his putt lipped out on 12, and from there on, it was the Scotty show, which is what we all expected. I think going into the weekend, it was almost felt like a done deal with that leaderboard and Scotty being up towards the top. So, per the usual, the PGA disappoints.
We'll get there. That's in the back half of the agenda. But most of what all you guys said was things I wanted to kind of get started, kind of right off the start. When Thursday wasn't, just like Matt said, an atrocious leaderboard, and slowly going Friday into Saturday, some of the better names started to appear. Bryson, Scotty, Rahm was kind of sneaking around Saturday, but it never felt like Scotty had his A game outside of those last 5-6 holes on Saturday. Where do we feel, if you had to grade Scotty's performance, up to his own standards this week, what grade would you give him? Let's reverse the order here and go back to Bucky first.
I would say that he had his B game, and I think that this is a topic of conversation, probably where you're looking to go with this, but who else do we know that won majors with their B game? Really only one guy in our generation, but that's Scotty Scheffler today. He can win a major with his B game by 5. But yeah, I'd say B.
Matthew?
I was going to say the same thing, honestly. B game. And it just felt like, though, everyone who was around him outside of a couple of the bigger names needed what their version of A++ would have been. Not the big names that could probably compete with him if they were playing A- to his B. But those guys, like Alex Smalley was all over the leaderboard. Like, that guy needed to play A++ to like even just hang around for a long enough. I just felt like his name was there a lot. I know Sunday he fell apart or whatever.
I'm just going to read some guys in the top 10 before I go to Jeff here. Davis Riley, Taylor Pendrith, Jonathan Vegas, JT Poston, Joaquin Neiman with his first ever major top 10, Ben Griffin, Denny McCarthy, Ryan Gerard, Joe Highsmith, Keegan, Siwoo Kim. Those guys all carded T8s or better this weekend. So, Jeff, your grade for Mr. Scheffler, your guy this week.
Yeah, my guy this week. I think he probably deserves maybe a little bit better than that. I think what makes him so much different than everybody else right now is that he combines with the ball striking and plus distance off the tee with an immaculate short game, and he's putting it as well as he ever has in his career right now. And I think his first two rounds make a lot more sense when it comes out that his driver was deemed non-conforming as well, and he was playing with a different driver come Thursday in the tournament. It's hard for me to believe that those guys can possibly get a driver in their hands that's a single piece different than what they have, given all the vans and whatnot that are out there to get them the equipment that they need. You would think they would just have an identical one 100%. But I think he ran away from the field. I think he had his B+, A- game somewhere in that 90 out of 100 number, probably for me.
I was going to say B, but his last 5 or 6 holes on Saturday may have vaulted it to a B+ for me, because that was exceptional stuff out of him coming down the stretch on Saturday to expand the lead. After Bryson had just absolutely nuked himself out of the tournament after getting to 8 under, being tied for the lead, and then like an hour later he's like 6 shots back. So that I'll give him a B+ because of that. This leads me, Bucky, you mentioned it. He's the only guy else that in the last 25 years that we could say is winning tournaments with not his A game. Because even, the other best players of his generation, Rory and Brooks would be the two, top performing major players. Like, they needed their A games to win. Like, I don't think we ever felt like Rory won without his A game, or Brooks either. What is the over-under on Scottie Scheffler's majors for his career? And I want to start out by saying I was listening to a podcast where this was a discussion, and they got what the number on FanDuel apparently was. FanDuel set it at 9.5. And I think that is an absurd number. Like, 9.5 is out of control. I myself was going to say 5.5 or 6.5. I couldn't decide what I would get to there. Because even if he gets to 6, like, the list of dudes with 6 majors is absurd. Like, the type of player you have to be. So, I mean, at best, I could kind of rationalize maybe 6.5. So I guess the discussion will say, let's just call it 5.5. And then if we have to revise, like, what would you take? 5.5 majors, Scottie Scheffler.
I got 2 numbers. I think I take over either way on 5.5. But I think if the live guys do not get fully back into playing PGA Tour golf, he's going to win 10.
Okay.
If those guys get back and start to actually play real competitive golf again, like, those guys are going to win some. But they're just not going to win the way this is set up right now.
Interesting. 10. Matthew's taking the over on the FanDuel number.
I got the adjusted line, buddy.
The adjusted line.
I was going to say 9.
9? Oh, Jesus.
I had 9. Before you said the FanDuel number of 9.5, I had the number 9 in my head.
Handicapper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeff.
I think he flies over 5.5. And maybe we're being a little prisoner of the moment-y. But he's only 28 years old. I just looked that up. That's way younger than what it feels like the other guys that we would talk about as being the greats of this generation are. And Augusta clearly fits him perfectly. He's going to get to go to Augusta every single year. I think there's a joy in golf for him that, like, I think he's always going to enjoy just playing. And as long as he's doing that, he's going to want to play. Like, it doesn't seem like he wants to play just for money. And when he gets money, he's going to leave. He's not going to go to live. And there's not really a golf course out there that doesn't fit what he does. If you drive it fairly long and straight and you can chip, and I mean, he couldn't putt for half of last year and he won 5 times or whatever, like before, like whatever he won last year. I don't even know. But he doesn't even like miss the top 20. Like, it doesn't matter what course, what event, what major, like he's finishing in the top 20. So I think I'd take over 9.5 too.
Wow. Not where I thought this conversation was going. It's just majors. You think dudes are going to win them forever. And if you would have sat us down in 2014 after Rory wins at Valhalla, we would all have been like, oh, yeah, 8, 9, 10. And so I just think sometimes like it goes, and sometimes it goes quick, and it feels a million miles off.
That's true. It's a good point.
Since
my number would be 6, by the way. I think 6 is a very fair number, and that puts him in elite levels of, professional golf history.
So just from a statistical standpoint, since we'll say COVID, and there was no Open in 2020, he has gone T18, T8, T7, T8, 1, missed the cut at the PGA in 2022. T2, T21, T10, T2, 3, T23, 1, T8, T41, T7, 4, 1. That's pretty good given that those are all played on different types of golf courses on different continents. I mean, that's only 4, that's 5 tournaments outside the top 10 in 5 years. He's going to be around.
I will say the thing that bodes well for him, I think, to be in this for a long time is he's probably got 10 years ish of his prime out ahead of him. He seems to just hang around and never, like, Rory will just like eject himself from the tournament on like Thursday or Friday so many times, like just to compare him with like another high level player. Like, it feels like he hangs around, and like this week was a perfect example of it. Like, whatever grade we gave him, we all gave him B plus. Like, whatever Thursday and Friday's grade was, I think it's like a C. Like, he did not have his top stuff, and he just kind of hung around and hung around and hung around. And like when people start coming back, he just kind of creeps up the leaderboard. So I will say that that is an impressive, thing to have going for him. I do want to point out that, as you guys all said, 9 plus major wins for him. That territory puts him up. When you get to 8, you have Tom Watson, Gary Player, Ben Hogan, Walter Hagen, Tiger, and Jack. Those are the only people up in that 8 plus range. So some people he would also launch himself over. Phil, Faldo, Trevino, Palmer, Sam Snead, Bobby Jones. I mean, some of those older guys, it's hard to put a number on what it actually is worth just when you get back to like the 30s and 40s. But it would put him in rarefied air, you would have to say.
Of the top 20 money earners on tour this year, he is one of only 4 who are under 30 years old.
Wow.
He is joined by Colin Morikawa, Ludwig Oberg, and Sung Jae Im. Oh, I'm sorry, and Mav McNeely, 5 out of 20. He and 4 others. Mav McNeely's 29.
Do you guys put any stock in the fact that he's not playing the best field all the time right now? I mean,
the guys that show up. It's not his fault.
Like, you mean on the tour that like Rahm and Bryson aren't on tour?
Right.
Nothing he can do about it.
I'm not saying that there is, but like there has to be something to the percentages of him winning is with these guys not there.
Yeah, but they're there in all the majors.
Maybe, but I don't think you can take anything away from it because it is what it is. Those numbers are still going to be there. Like at the end of the day, whether he wins 35, 40 times, people aren't really going to say, this is just my opinion, but I don't think people are going to say, but. I mean, however, unless you talk to Taylor Gooch, and then there's an asterisk up there. But
did he play this weekend? Does this one get
no,
asterisk?
this is another asterisk major because
I
Taylor
think you
Gooch
tied
is
your
in that.
score in the U.S. Open qualifier, Jeff.
Yeah.
What was the last major? Anyone want to let's just guess. Just guess what the last major Taylor Gooch played in.
2023 PGA.
2022 Open.
He T60'd in the 2024 PGA.
I was going to say that.
And then he missed the cut in the 2023 British. Chose not to qualify for the 2023 U.S. Open, if I remember correctly. Was cut in the 2023 PGA and was T34 at the Masters. So, not really hasn't really. He was kind of like a rising player when he left too, and really shit the bed. As have, I mean, most of the live guys were at the tail end of their career when they went, but not a lot of great performances from them. This is probably their best major performance in a while, with Bryson and Rahm up there. Rahm showing some signs of life this week before just absolutely ejection seating himself the last 3 holes on Sunday after he had a couple of really good looks coming down the stretch to put some pressure on. We think this is more of a return to normal for Rahm after kind of a rough major year last year, maybe settling in, figuring out the schedule a little bit.
Yeah, he's too good not to, and too young, and he's not going anywhere. Jeff said it on the last podcast after the Masters. He said we had to give him a little more time. So
I actually saw a stat
but I appreciate that.
I saw a stat that had he been able to pull it off, he would have been one of like 2 or 3 players ever in history to win their first 3 majors after trailing by multiple shots entering the final round, which I thought was an interesting stat. I kind of like his prospects at Oakmont for some reason. I don't know why. I just feel like he's trending right. Good ball striker, decent putter. I know he hit some really bad putts in a couple holes there late, but I don't know. He feels like he's on the upward tick. And just a real grindy round that Oakmont's going to present could benefit him. I don't know. Could be wrong. Could be the Scotty Scheffler show all over again.
no, it's probably Bryson.
Let's talk Bryson.
Okay, he's going to win the U.S. Open at Oakmont.
Okay, well, let's talk his PGA performance here. Well, if you think he's going to win the U.S. Open at Oakmont, he seems to be struggling with his irons. For the week, strokes gained approach just plus 0.07. Going into Sunday, he was 54th of 74 players who made the cut in strokes gained approach. Does that fact worry you?
Yes.
I think he finds it.
No. He said it at his press conference afterwards. All he has to do is get a different ball. It's going to fly straighter, which is what we all really need. He's so revolutionary for the game. He's going to get a ball that flies straighter, and then he's going to be better with his irons, and it's going to help all of us because not one of us, especially Jeff, I know Jeff can relate to this, we all need a ball that flies straighter. So I appreciate the work that Bryson's doing for us out there.
What did he
I
say?
saw Wally like my tweet from yesterday, but I did feel like I should take that step out there and support Bryson in this initiative to find a straighter flying golf ball. I am rooting for the manufacturers. I cannot wait to play said ball when they discover it. The one I'm using right now is doing just fine, but if we can get better, let's get better. But I think
This was an all-time tweet from you, Jeff. You quote tweeted the Nuclear Golf that says, Bryson DeChambeau says he needs to find a golf ball that will fly straighter and says it will be up to manufacturing on whether he can address this need before the U.S. Open. The quote reads, "What I really think needs to happen, being pretty transparent here, is just a golf ball that flies a little straighter. Everybody talks about how straight the golf ball flies. Well, upwards of 190, like Rory and myself, it's actually quite difficult to control the golf ball. I'm going to work my butt off to have make that happen. It's all up to manufacturing. We'll see what happens, but I'm keen on finding something and I'm keen on improving. I'm excited for that." And then Jeff comes in with the all-time exclamation point here. "I, as well, would like to find this golf ball that flies straighter at very high ball speeds. Consider me rooting for the manufacturing teams."
Confirmed. But getting back to your initial point, he hits the ball so far, and I still think he is finding fairways, so I'm really not sure what he has an issue with, but he's got to be getting tired of people hitting it 45, 50 yards behind him and putting after he does, because he just can't hit the ball close enough on the greens.
The gapping has got to be hard for him. Like the yardage gaps, like dude's hitting like 8 and 9 iron from like close to 200 regularly. Granted, you know, some of it can be downwind, downhill, stuff like that. But like still, like if you're pulling 8 iron out at 2 bills pretty consistently, like what are you hitting from a $140, a $130, where like this dude's hitting most of his approach shots from?
Well, if you watch him play Grant Horvat or Phil Mickelson, he'll tell you that he's hitting like a 10 o'clock this or a 9 o'clock that or I don't know. I'm getting a little bit as old and tired of listening to him talk about his 8 iron, which is really the length of a 7 iron with the loft of a 6 iron that he calls an 8 iron. Like, stupid. Like, grow up, dude. Like, just start hitting clubs whatever distance you need to. It's not the ball's fault. But I root for you to find the ball.
Trying to find his 8 iron loft. The AI overview tells me his 8 iron loft is 30 degrees. And
it's like a 5 iron.
A typical 8 iron is around 37 to 38 degrees. So,
it's 3 clubs.
I mean, it's like a 6 iron at least.
Minimum. 5.5 iron. Like, grow up, dude. You want me to call my driver my lob wedge? Like, hit my lob wedge 310 today. Cool. Still gonna find it in the fescue. He's not winning at Oakmont.
We'll see. You can wait until he comes out with that straight flying golf ball and just drills it down the fairway all day.
He might win at Oakmont. I'll reserve my opinion for then.
Any other of the top players we want to discuss here?
Yep.
Go for it.
McIlroy 0 press conferences.
Oh,
that was coming from me.
I wanted this so bad.
Hold on. It's not what you think, Jordan. It's not what you think. It's the Amanda Balionis effect. That boy's in deep water at home. That's all I'm gonna say.
Did you see what she said to somebody?
Yeah,
Bryson. Wasn't
it? It was Bryson. I don't remember who it was.
Here.
Yeah, that was awesome. Who texted that they want odds on his divorce by the end of the year? Was that you?
Me. Yep.
So you think he's not just being a bitch? You think he's getting it at home? Like you can't be fucking talking to her after rounds?
Well, they are moving to the UK, right? But he's a pro golfer who plays on the PGA Tour. Guys that are pro golfers on the PGA Tour don't live in the UK. They live in Florida. He's not leaving Florida. She's moving to the UK. That's gotta be... I'm sorry, but you can't convince me that Rory McIlroy is going to up and move to the UK when he lives in... wherever he lives in Florida and is still going to pursue his professional golf career. No,
you might be onto something, buddy. Buy her a really nice big house and hope that she shuts up about some of the other money.
Plus $250
to the UK. He's going to pay for it, and that way he doesn't have to buy her out of the divorce.
Isn't she American?
Yeah. Even
What
more
the hell
of a
she
red
want to live
flag.
in the UK for?
Why do you think?
She can't just move to fucking Scottsdale or something?
Across the pond, buddy.
Got to really put some distance between herself and Balionis, huh?
Yep. And her husband.
So, beyond the fact that you think it's Balionis, I just want to state it's a complete bitch-ass move to skip media all week. Coming off winning the Masters, like, half the questions are just going to be just sucking you off. Oh, Grand Slam. Like, just suck it up, man. Like, I get it. It sucks when you play bad. We've all been there. You got to stand there for 5 minutes and take the dumb questions. Hey, what's going wrong? Hey, your driver got, taken away because of the testing, which, by the way, I don't think is a big deal at all. And I think if anyone's making a big deal, it's the dumbest shit ever. Like,
Only the
those
media.
things, it just happened. Like, that's what happens when these guys beat a billion balls with the driver. The face starts to thin out. Like, who cares? But, like, you just got to stand there and take it. And I'm just sick of the bullshit. Like, he had no problem, like, going to Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon after he won the Masters. Like, just sit there. 5 minutes. They're going to ask the same 6 questions. Hey, how'd it go out there? What went wrong? How'd it feel? What were you thinking? Okay, good, great, boom. You're out of there. Like, you can't do that. You get paid millions of dollars to play golf. Like, that's just part of the deal. And it just annoys me so much.
So I don't mean to interrupt if anybody else has any thoughts on this. I want to agree with you, but I think the golf media is awful. And I think I tweeted it or I did something earlier, texted somebody, but like the day before the tournament or whenever his press conference was, like they were asking him like, what parts of other people's game do you want? Yada, yada, yada. Like, I would love to believe what you just said. How was your round today? What went well? What went wrong? What are you looking for tomorrow? How's the course playing?
I'm just kind of speaking the post-round interviews.
But I agree, but they don't do that. Like, they ask really stupid, dumb questions after these rounds about stuff that these guys probably don't care about. And then they're going to bitch and moan that they don't want to talk to them, but they'll sit there and all the golf media knows why the driver is not conforming or not conforming or whatever you want. Like, and to be honest, they probably should have been more transparent that there were 10 players who had it happen to them, right? And Scotty was very on point talking about how either everyone should have this or nobody should. But he'd get multiple questions about that. He shouldn't have to answer to those. Like, I wish that if the media was better at their job, he would want to do more interviews, and they all would. But I think that's just not the makeup of this stuffy, old, shitty media.
Do we think the golf media is that intelligent about it? Like, I just don't know. Like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I know golf so well, because like I have an average understanding of golf. Like, a lot of people don't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to golf.
Yeah, but the media
guys do to at least the extent that we do, right? Like, these guys are put on golf media. You would think they have a decent idea of what to ask.
Is like the football or the basketball or the baseball media that much better?
No.
Right? Like, just get up there and answer the questions. It just makes them a lot easier to root against come Ryder Cup time, that's for sure. But also in general, like, there's no excuse to not do media after. There's not.
I don't disagree, but the questions are like, they've got to get better. Be better.
I think one thing that has to be taken into account when you like think about the media, sports media, like for the most part, these aren't dudes who like played a lot of sports in their life. Like, there's a reason they went into like reporting and journalism and stuff like they weren't like generally like if I'm just completely speaking out of pocket, so I could be totally wrong here. But like, I would bet if you like had a survey, like in general, most of them did not play a lot of competitive sports, maybe even the ones they covered.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty obvious by the way that they the questions that they ask. Slano's right, but I still don't think that's an excuse. Like, everybody in their job has things that they have to do that they don't want to do.
True.
I guess
And we don't get paid millions of dollars to do it.
I enjoy the listening to these guys talk before the tournament at the press conferences and after some of the rounds and whatnot. And there are a couple really good questions every week that's like, oh wow, like that's cool. Like that's good to know. If your job is to go to Colonial Country Club this week and you fly in on Monday or Tuesday, just like everybody else, and your job is to walk the fairways and get inside the clubhouse and inside the ropes access, and you talk to caddies and you talk to people, you got to just be able to be better. You have to be able to come up with better questions. You have to be more knowledgeable than what you are. And Rory answered questions for so long. He was the only guy on tour every week talking about the tour and why nobody should leave and why you're all losers for leaving. And this is real golf. This is competition. I don't know. I don't want to say he should have answered media every single day because he's Rory McIlroy. He's a major champ this year and people want to hear from him. But they can be better.
Fair enough.
Agreed. Did anyone else hop on my Harris English? I know Mr. Wiater jumped on Harris English. I think, did you have him a top 5 or top 10, top 20 parlay or something like that, Wiater?
I jumped on him first round. He did it on the last round. We were hoping for the first round.
I did say first round, didn't I?
You did, and I jumped on it. I'm like, you know what? This sounds like a decent pick.
It was a similar thought. He was never involved in the golf tournament, but threw together a really good round and put himself up on the leaderboard.
Yep,
He said that he had his caddy reading all of his putts for him this week. Did you hear that?
Yeah, he said he doesn't usually, but he couldn't read the putts this week and just had to go to his caddy. So
I hope the guy got a bonus.
Well, what was the purse?
T2, right? So he probably did all right.
Yeah, but they don't all pay their guy 10%. Like Scotty Scheffler is not paying. Like they get those guys on a salary and then they get bonuses. I'm pretty sure is how they end up working it. I don't think all caddies get 10%.
I've read that the 10% is typically just for a win bonus, and then it's usually like a sliding scale. A second place may be like a 7% kind of thing.
So a few years ago, I played around with. Remember when William McGirt was relevant?
Derek McGirt.
Yeah, I played with his caddy, and he was telling us about it. And he said that most of them are on like a salary, and then you get bonuses based on different performances, but it's not just like straight 10% for most of them once you become if you're on an established player.
Yeah, I've read something similar that the 10% is pretty much strictly for wins, and then it's a pretty steep decline quickly thereafter, and by the time you get out of the top 10, there's very little extra coming your way each week. But yeah, he should reference his caddy more often on the greens, it appears.
Popular pick this week from what I'm reading.
Where the hell are they even at this week?
Slano's already moved
Colonial
this week.
Colonial.
Zach Johnson.
That used to be one of Slano's auto pens in the fancy golf league. Zach Johnson at Colonial.
That was John Deere. John Deere.
Oh, John Deere. That's right. Wait, I thought Stricker was John Deere.
Oh, it might have been Stricker. John Deere. It might have been Zach Johnson Colonial. It might have been DJ Pebble, Zach Johnson Colonial, Stricker John Deere.
Pencil him in, buddy.
You had 3 or 4 guarantees, I remember.
Oh, Dustin was the automatic at Pebble. That was easy. Get him out of the way.
What'd he finish this week? He didn't play the weekend.
I don't think he beat Michael Block, did he?
Talk about a live guy who was falling off.
78-76. Let's see if he did beat Michael Block.
He did.
Yeah, I think he did. Barely.
Michael Block, who's in the field this week at Colonial.
Michael Block had him by 3 after round 1, but when the crowds dissipated from him in round 2,
that guy's a loser. I don't even want to spend another moment talking about him. He's such a loser. I can't stand him.
Do we think that was a real, like, do you think he was making a joke when he said that he plays better with the big crowds, or is that like 100%
Real.
serious?
I think he's that kind of guy.
Serious.
I don't think it's 100% real. Guy likes the media. He just wants people to talk. So he'll just say whatever's going to keep his name relevant for as long as he can.
He likes himself, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Did anybody see Wyndham Clark on Sunday?
Yeah, but good toss.
I mean,
that was like a dangerous type of toss. Like, he did not look. Like, that thing was out of his hands before he knew where the hell it was going.
Mm-hmm.
That thing was throwing some momentum.
It's a good thing it came out low, because if that thing came out high, somebody was fucking wearing that.
Yes.
Some distance was coming on that if that thing got going vertical.
What do you think the check is if you wear that thing, though? If you're a volunteer, you wear that. What are you getting paid?
It better be more than a signed glove.
Right, yeah. We're not settling for the glove.
That one is more than a signed glove. That's a nice check.
Yeah.
That's 10% of something.
I think if you're the volunteer, you got to step in there and wear that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Take one for the team.
I got a couple other topics here for us to move on to, but anything else from the play on the course? Any other players to highlight, to talk about?
I will say this about the course, and not just this one in particular, but like the way it was laid out, with there being very distinct holes that were gettable and very distinct holes that were difficult. Like, I hate when they're, all right, every hole is 475, par 4, we're just doing the same thing over and over again. You better get the par 5s. Like, I like that we got a drivable par 4 this week, and like a couple holes that were, like, you better go get them, because you're going to play a stretch that's going to be very difficult to play at even par. Like, I like when the courses are set up like that.
Quail Hollow's an awesome track. It really actually is. I don't know why it doesn't. I guess it just doesn't have the history, maybe.
Well, that leads me into one of the other things I wanted to talk about, was that, you get there's like the certain groups in like the golf media and the golf podcast world that like to really run down courses. And like, they've been really on the PGA because last year was Valhalla, that everybody loves to shit on. And they kind of carried some of that over to Quail Hollow this week. And I think my only bitch about Quail Hollow hosting a major is that we see it every year on the PGA Tour. Beyond that, I don't know that I have a real problem with it. If you want to talk a little how they set it up, stuff like they've got some thick rough down on the edges, that save balls from like the hazards. Like, okay, you can probably get me there, like shave that down a little bit. But beyond that, like, it's a good test of golf. Outside of Scotty Scheffler, nobody was better than 6 under. I like what Matt said. Like, there was the back nine. You knew it's like, you better go get it before 14 by 15, because you just got to grab your fucking pants and just hold on coming down 16, 17, 18. So I don't get like all the hate that it got. I think it's like you said, I think it's a pretty damn solid course. Maybe if we didn't see it every year, we'd have a little bit different opinion of it. But like, I'm also just not the guy who's like, oh, this course is bullshit, or like, this course is so much better. Like, can the course provide some intrigue for me? Can it produce a nice leaderboard? Like, can it give us, some exciting moments coming down the stretch? Like, that's kind of what I'm looking for. And like, I don't get the people who just get all wrapped up in like, well, this course architecturally is blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I'm not into that either. Well, you can say the same thing about Pebble Beach, if you want to use that knock, right? They play that every year, and then they play majors there. But other than that, I'm not that into the architectural aspect either, unless it's like, Tawanda. But
So it's funny that you bring Tawanda up, because the big, obviously Pebble's a comparison and Torrey's a comparison, right? They both also host PGA Tour events every year and then get thrown into the Rota for the U.S. Open every, whatever it is, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. But they're only hosting one of the days. Or for Torrey, I guess it's 3 of the days because they split it with the North Course when they host the Farmers. I think they just don't do it. Like, make them be tour events or make them be majors. There's enough other really good golf courses out there because Quail Hollow is a really, really good track. And they play it every year. And every year it's the winners at Quail Hollow have been pretty good over the years. The tournaments have been pretty exciting over the years. Just be Quail Hollow and host the Truist every year or the Wells Fargo every year or whatever it is and let other courses step in. And my main point where Towanda comes in is I don't understand why they have to make the golf courses different. And in Towanda's instance, I understand that the Towanda that you play next week is going to be different than the Towanda that we all get together to play at the end of August. And I understand the reasons behind that. But I always find it weird how they can dial up Pebble Beach to be a couple people break par in the U.S. Open tournament, but they can also then set it up so that every February guys can shoot 64-64 the 2 days that it's at Pebble. Like, just either be the golf course that's hard or be the golf course that's not hard. And none of us really care which it is, but I don't think anyway. But, like, Pebble's really, really good when they host it for the U.S. Open and it gets tough. Like, it's a fun track. We all know the holes. It's hard. Just do that.
The difference between the U.S. Open and the PGA Tour, though. The U.S. Open's run by the USGA, wants it to be the hardest it could possibly be, where the PGA Tour wants to see more highlights. So they're not going to have the rough grown out and the greens baked out and all that other stuff because they want people to shoot 20 under rather than 2.
I guess it's a different time of year, right?
I was going to say, I think the time of year really matters. Like that February, like really misty, cool versus it kind of warms up a little bit in June and dries out a little bit easier.
Right.
I just think we've got enough golf courses that can host tour events. I think we saw that last week at Philly Cricket Club. Go to some of these other places, right?
Yeah, like, there's economics there, though, the business side of it that we're not privy to.
You got to be able to get, for majors, 40, 50, 60,000 people a day onto the golf course. And like, that's
all stay.
Right. Yeah. Because that's like a thing with Marion. Like, remember when they went to Marion a couple years ago? They were like, oh, we've had to limit tickets down to like 30,000 people a day because there's just nowhere for them to go out there.
They just did that at LA, though.
Yeah.
Like LACC only had 30,000 a day or 20,000.
Was it really? Is that all they did?
Wasn't that a huge thing? Like, it was so exclusive and only certain people could get in there. And
I just remember them putting a fucking grandstand in the bunker off the fairway bunker off the first tee box. Like the one leg of like the grandstands was in the first bunker.
They only had 22,000 total tickets for the event, with only an estimated 8,000 available to the general public.
I am remembering that now. Because they were like calling it like the corporate U.S. Open, essentially, or something like that.
They expect at least 50,000 a day at Oakmont this year.
50. Yeah, Oakmont, they got the space at Oakmont.
Well, they love it.
And it's, one of the top 5 golf courses that they can host a major at in the U.S.? Mm-hmm. If not top 3.
Mm-hmm.
All the more reason. Give us more Oakmont.
I think we're getting a lot of Oakmont coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we get Oakmont in 25 here. Then again in 2033. Then again in 2042. Then again in 2049.
All right.
Also ridiculous that they've got 2051 scheduled out for the U.S. Open.
Enough. We'll be 61 years old.
While we're talking, some other majors here, I floated something to the group earlier in the week. I asked the question has the PGA been one of the more exciting majors of the last 5 to 10 years? And I got a resounding no from you, Mr. Appley. Would you like me to state my case first, or would you like to lead?
No, I'd like you to go first.
Okay. Well, I just want to point out some of the fun, PGAs we've had the last 10 or so years.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, Xander wins, makes a putt on the last hole, beat Bryson, who charges up. 2 years ago was Brooks Koepka. More of that was Brooks kind of coming back. That tournament was okay. Brooks was kind of in control by the back nine. The Justin Thomas playoff year, as Mito Pereira electrocuted himself on his final tee ball.
That was a great Sunday.
Incredible Sunday.
Who was the guy that he beat? Mito Pereira?
He ended up beating Will Zalatoris in the playoff.
Oh, okay, yep.
Mito made double on the last hole to go from the winner to not in the playoff.
Right, that's right. That was the first year of full swing.
Yes. 21 was Phil's win, which was a very fun day too. Him and Brooks were going back and forth, and Phil kind of pulled away right at the end. 2020 was Colin Morikawa, and I think there were something like 10 guys within a stroke or two of the lead for a majority of the back nine.
Maybe
Billy
on that
stuffed
par
it
four.
on that drivable par four.
Yep. 2019 was Bethpage. DJ trying to run down Brooks Koepka. Brooks got out to a big lead, and then DJ just started chipping away at it, and Brooks was just gagging shots away. 18, Tiger was trying to chase down Brooks as well. 17, I remember being good. I don't remember any specifics. And then I don't remember 2016 at all. But there were some pretty good ones in there. Whereas, I'm going to spin over to the other ones real quick. Obviously, Masters, incredible this year. But for the 5 years beyond that, winning margin of victory was 4 or more strokes. 2019, obviously great with Tiger. Pat Root, 2018, 2017, and 2016 were all very good. 15 was a runaway from Spieth. But those 3 years in the middle were there. But the last 5 years of the Masters has really not been, crazy good.
Danny Willett won by 3 shots.
Yeah,
birdied the last 5 holes, didn't he?
I don't know if it was that crazy, but I mean,
did that.
That was Schwartzel.
Okay.
I will say the U.S. Open is not helping my case here. 1 stroke difference the last 4 years. Before that, it had gotten kind of wide. Bryson won by 6 and kind of a snoozer. Gary Woodland out at Pebble was kind of a snoozer by the back nine. Koepka only won by 1 stroke at Shinnecock, but it felt bigger, and Tommy Fleetwood posted way early, and Koepka kind of just, plotted his way around.
Just ruined the golf course, right?
Yeah, that was the year Phil was hitting moving putts, and Zach Johnson was like, they've lost it. They've completely lost the course.
I was there that day.
And they completely backed it off on Sunday before they let him back out. And then the Open, I mean, Xander last year wasn't really much. Brian Harmon won by 6. 2022 was good with Cam Smith running down Rory. I have no recollection of the 2021 British Open that Morikawa won at all. They canceled a year because they're pussies. Shane Lowry won by 6. 18 was Molinari. That round got fun for a while. 17 was Jordan Spieth. That was an interesting round.
Good one.
And then 16 was Henrik Stenson and Phil, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
So just putting that all out there, I still feel going through all that the PGA puts up a pretty strong resume for putting together a pretty darn exciting tournament year in and year out. Your retort now.
You've hardly said anything. I thought you had this big statement that the PGA was the most fun major, but now you're just saying it's pretty good. I'm saying
I think in totality, if you look at the last 10 years, you're more often than not going to get a very fun, exciting PGA, and I think it's produced more fun and exciting tournaments than the other majors have if you line them up head to head.
Jordan, I didn't think that I was going to come onto this podcast and do this about this topic. I agree with you.
What? All right.
It has by far in the last decade the best winners. By
The
far.
winners are great too. I didn't even mention that.
By far. Scotty, Xander, Brooks, JT, Phil, Morikawa, Brooks, JT. Dating back to Jimmy Walker winning at Baltusrol. By far the best group of winners. By far. To be honest, in terms of watchability, I mean, the Masters is fun because it's the same. We know the holes, we know the shots, we know the course, whatnot. The Open is probably next outside of Harmon's
The U.S.
runaway.
Open?
No, the Open. Like the Cam Smith year was really fun.
That was good.
Shane Lowry won by 6, but it felt like there were like 10 guys in the hunt that Sunday, if I remember correctly. It was downpouring.
I don't have a recollection of that being that enjoyable to watch, but I could be very wrong.
Which one are you talking about?
Ricky Fowler was one of the guys wearing rain gear trying to charge.
He was talking to Shane Lowry in 2019.
Yeah, that was a good one. I think so. I won't necessarily argue that they haven't been fun, but I will say, like, when I watch the Masters, the U.S. Open, or the Open, I think because of the tradition, the weight of those tournaments is a little bit heavier than when you watch somebody trying to win the PGA. I don't think that winning the PGA has the same feeling to the players as if they win any of the other 3 majors.
I won't argue that.
Agreed.
So, because of that, I feel like there's not as much tension when they come down the stretch, and there just isn't quite the level of tradition. I don't think it means as much. So maybe because of that, you get a little bit freer golf sometimes. But you could, you can usually when a guy is about to win, like the Masters or the U.S. Open, especially for us, I think, you can like feel what he's feeling, and I don't always get that with the PGA. It feels a little bit more like a regular season PGA Tour event to me. That's all.
It's got. I will say it's got a little feel of like a Players-esque thing to it.
Mm-hmm. But the Players is even a little bit. Well, no, yeah.
If they, what are the courses been? And I know I was just bitching about people like with the courses, but like there is something to like. Oh, it's like, oh yeah, you're at Oakmont, so you kind of know what the last couple holes are. You know what the last, you know the entirety of the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
So like there is something to be like having a high recollection of like what's coming up. Like, oh, you know what they got to do here because this is what the next couple holes look like.
Well,
and if you kind of
there's history of guys choking in certain spots too.
Yes.
So like they get to 12 on Sunday and it's like, oh, is he going to be that guy who Spieths it, or any of those holes? But I don't think that we get that quite at the PGA as much because there's not as much history with the courses. Maybe, I don't know. It's just different. I get a different feeling from the PGA. It doesn't excite me as much, and it used to always be the 4th major of the year too.
I think it's lost a little something by not being the last major because it was always like, they had the tagline "Glory's last shot." It's like, oh, this is your last chance to get a major. It was like it was like kind of like a, the tagline was like, oh, okay, that's kind of dumb, but like it was true. It's like, hey, if you don't do it here, like, and you've been playing well, like you got to wait 6 months 8 months until Augusta next year. Like now it's just kind of sandwiched in between the Masters and the U.S. Open, and it's like, oh, there's another one coming up in a month.
Yep.
Matthew, your thoughts? You've been quiet for this discussion.
I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I lean towards Eric's take on it, that you just don't feel the same. And like some of the storylines that you get out of the other ones seem more intriguing. Like even like just using Shane Lowry, right? He ran away with it. But for him to win the British just feels like a bigger deal, right? For Rory to get the Masters this year obviously was a big thing. When Tiger won his Masters, the last one, like it always feels like there's more like storyline to it,
Mhm.
opposed to like, oh, yeah, Brooks has won the PGA 3 times or whatever the hell many fucking times he's won it. Like, okay.
You've never seen a golfer win the PGA and say that they just fulfilled their lifelong dream, unless maybe it was to win the Grand Slam. But other than that, like, if they win the Masters, like, that's a dream come true. U.S. Open, usually British Open, but the PGA, it's not quite the same.
Unless it's a guy who you never expect to win a major at all.
That's true.
And comes out of nowhere and he wins it because, like, that would be
like when Wiater's boy Keegan Bradley won the PGA.
Yeah, big win.
That was a guy out of nowhere.
Right.
I watched that at your house, by the way.
That red Oakley shirt.
Yep. John Daly, when he won the PGA, that's an all-time story. You left that one out. Could have supported your argument. Then you might have had me with that.
Well, I was going back to 1991.
Oh, that's on you.
That was, about what I had, boys. Any other thoughts from the weekend?
No, Keegan Bradley playing his way onto the team. Does he step down as Ryder Cup captain?
No.
No.
I think he does both. If he plays his way on, he's going to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
if he plays his way on.
100%. He's not turning down the opportunity to play.
But I think he benches himself a lot.
Yeah. You don't think
he probably plays, maybe twice in the first 2 days?
Did I correctly or incorrectly see a conversation where people thought that Keegan's lip reading of what he said to Scotty was like, I'm going to play with you or something to that effect? Did I see that correctly, or was that just like one person tweeting that and it not really getting any traction?
I did not see that.
I didn't see that either.
Interesting. I thought I saw something where someone said that too, which would make sense. If you are going to be Keegan and you're going to get to pick the team.
You get to pick. That's who I'm playing with.
That's who I'll play 4-ball with that guy.
Yep.
Keegan up to 17th in the Ryder Cup standings.
Oh, we're not even in the ballpark of him.
Ways to go.
Yeah, that's a ways to go. I thought he'd be higher, to be honest.
The actual problem is he said he wasn't going to pick himself. And if you look at like what the team is like made up of right now, he probably should pick himself.
It's a scary list.
Top 6 is Scotty, Scheffler, Xander, Bryson, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Russell Henley. Harris English is shot up to 7th. He's actually Harris English is kind of like a good course fit for Bethpage. He kind of bombs it and really hits it well. Then we go Mav McNeely, Andrew Novak, Brian Harmon, JJ Spawn. Brian Harmon and JJ Spawn are both terrible fucking course fits for Bethpage.
Yeah, really bad.
Cantlay, Berger, Finau, who he stinks. Like, I've seen enough of him on.
He's going to be on it, though.
Probably. Tom Hoagie, Lucas Glover. Like, of those guys from 8 to Keegan?
Give me Keegan before any of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
especially at Bethpage.
Yeah.
Like, you probably take Cantlay because you're going to pair him with Xander.
Yeah.
Berger's got some experience, but like Andrew Novak, Mav McNeely, Brian Harmon, JJ Spawn, Tom Hoagie, Lucas Glover. Like, if those are my options, Keegan better fucking pick himself.
Who's right behind him that is like obvious picks?
Wyndham.
Yeah.
Wyndham stinks. The people right behind him are Ben Griffin, Wyndham Clark, Billy Horschel, Denny McCarthy, another terrible course fit, Michael Kim, Akshay, JT Poston, Davis Riley, Jacob Bridgman. I mean, that gets us to 26.
The U.S. is in trouble.
Might have to pick himself. He might have.
What's Patrick Reed got to do in the 2 majors to get picked?
Win
Is
maybe
the only
both.
way they're taking Reed.
He might have to win both.
No.
Win in top 5.
2 top 5s he needs, you think?
No.
He needs a win in a top 5.
A win and
right. That's 2
5.
top 5. A win and a top 5.
Not 2 top 5s. That's not good enough. A win and a top 5.
You'd rather take
I was going to
Max
say,
Homa than Patrick Reed.
They don't
if he
like
doesn't-
him. Nobody
He's a
likes
fucking
him.
psycho.
They all hate him.
No one wants to play with him.
We're going to lose.
He's a bad. The last time that he played, it was an away Ryder Cup, and
It was France.
And they all said that they hated him.
Well, that's France. This is U.S.
But he's the same guy.
I don't think the Captain America thing's like there anymore for him either.
No, I don't think that they like him. He's a loser.
And he's not very good.
I don't know. We just rattled off a lot of guys that
Well, that's true.
losers.
That's true. We're just in trouble.
We are in trouble.
I mean, you nearly got to Joe Highsmith on this list.
He was the next name.
I know. That's what I mean. Like, these are the people we're talking about. Like, are we going to really have a bucket hat in the Ryder Cup?
don't knock the
If
bucket.
Joe Highsmith wins at Colonial this week or some other days, we're going to take Joe Highsmith over Patrick Reed?
Till we see
Come
you.
on.
Pat, we don't want to hear you knocking it.
Yeah. Pat Reed, yeah. Just eliminate Patrick Reed from your mind. Because A, he's not going to top 5 these next 2 majors.
I don't think he has to. We'll see.
You're out of your mind. What do you think he has to do to make the team?
I think he's got a top 5 one of them.
No.
All right,
No way.
see. You better be right, or I'm coming on this podcast again in September.
Well, I mean, I plan on, doing this again after the U.S. Open, so the forum's going to be yours.
As long as Bucky and I keep picking winners,
That's right, Jeff. We'll
we're
stay
gonna
hot.
We're going to
say-
keep doing this.
Might be next man up, though. We'll all
I was
take
going
a
to say,
turn.
Waiter, it
Raiders
might be your
welcome to
turn.
join with one. We all ride.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we can get behind here, boys. We'll give that some thought here. I will have picks.
Maybe
It'll
we
be
actually will do the U.S. Open preview this next time. I'll remember to set that up, and then you can get on the record ahead of time.
Yeah, good idea. We
It
should
would
do
be
that.
incredible if Waiter can get us a winner at Oakmont and Wally has to come up with one across the pond in July.
That's so fucked.
Go study
Fuck
with
that.
weather
I'm taking the
pattern.
U.S. Open.
Fine. I don't
That
care.
would be a
I don't
lot
care.
of pressure.
I'll find the winner to the British. Don't worry.
I was going to say, I got to take the U.S. Open because if anybody in this group could pull out the winner to the British to bring it home, it's Waiter.
That's true.
Without question.
Without a doubt.
Any other golf topics? I have one other thing to discuss here before we call it a night here.
No, I'm
I'm
good.
good on golf.
How are we feeling about our New York Knicks going into the Eastern Conference Finals here, boys?
It's just the next stop on the journey.
That was an incredible answer. And the tone in which you said that with.
Nailed it.
It's not the final destination by any means. It's just the next stop.
Wow.
Next stop. That's it.
How do they match up against the Pacers? I know nothing.
We got to slow it down.
Gotta slow it down.
Listen,
Very, very
Got
different
to slow
matchups.
it down.
a wise man once said they play the fuck out of the D,
Mhm.
and that's all they need to do.
This is to put this into terms that you may better understand. This is like more of like a Houston versus Alabama matchup, Jordan.
Okay.
In a college basketball person. This is like a tough, gritty, physical. Knicks are going to try to punch you in the mouth, slow the game down, and the Pacers are going to fly the ball up the court, Mike D'Antoni like 7 seconds or less, and play fast. And Tibbs is going to run the Knicks guys out there for 44 minutes a night, and they're going to sleep on the plane from game to game. And if they have enough in the tank, then the Thunder will run them into the ground in the NBA Finals.
But
I was going to say, isn't this just to see who plays the Timberwolves?
Maybe in Cancun, the losers.
Jeff, how many games do you think each series are going to go?
Deep. Both series go deep.
Also, if I'm allowed to vent about something, it's ridiculous that the Thunder series starts tomorrow and the Knicks series starts Wednesday. That makes no sense. I assume it's some stupid television contract obligation thing. It makes no sense. The Thunder just played yesterday. The Knicks played on Saturday. I think the Pacers series.
Maybe they should have closed their series out a little quicker.
I think that goes 6 or 7. I think the Thunder series goes. I'll say 6. It might be 5.
You're such a fanboy. Always, always so confident in your team. I love it, though. I do respect it, but you're a fanboy.
10
Official
days
pick.
to play 5 games, that's actually not bad.
7 and 5.
So they actually are just playing every other day. That's actually, I'm surprised to read that. I figured it'd be more. Oh, they give them bigger breaks in the finals, I see.
Finals is like every third day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's 3 days. There's only 2 days in between games 3 and 4. Other than that, it's 3 days in between, which is ridiculous. Gentlemen, I think that's all I got, unless you fellas got something else, you think?
I'm good.
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, we'll do our best. I'll do my best to try and remember. We'll set up a preview for the U.S. Open if we can find it all in our schedules, and then we'll also be back for the review. So people are going to see a lot of your 3 faces here the next couple months on the pod if we can get this all lined up.
Keep the ratings up, Jordan. That's what we're here for.
Hey, we're just coming for those foreplay guys. We want them in a match, anytime, anywhere. Speaking of golf media not knowing what the fuck they're talking about, them just being flabbergasted.
They would have no chance. That would be an abomination.
Well, we probably closed them out, 4 and 3?
10 and 9?
I was going to say 4 and 3 if we're just staying out there for content purposes.
4 and 3 for what? We giving them strokes?
I have to correct Bucky and say it's 10 and 8. Can't win 10 and 9.
Thank you.
Sounds like a foreplay guy.
We might beat him so bad.
Jeepers. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. It's late. We've been on here for a while. It's past my bedtime.
Well, Eric, go get some rest. Waiter, Jeff, thanks, boys. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys again in a couple weeks.
See you, boys.
See ya.
Closing time, everybody. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the watches. I appreciate all the listens. So thank you. Just hope you guys are enjoying it. I'm still enjoying doing this, so hopefully you guys enjoy listening. Big thanks to Bucky and Wiater and Slano. Really enjoy having those guys on. It looks like we got a couple more of these coming in the not too distant future with a couple more majors, maybe even some previews if we can get the schedules to line up. So don't forget to like, review, comment, subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff. And don't forget to check out my guy MJ over at the Full Range Podcast on Spotify and the Ole Walls House YouTube channel. Next week, we got more NBA and NHL playoffs. We got more Guardians baseball. We're going to have more of my passing thoughts, all the fun stuff out there. So till next week, peace.